Deion Sanders is going to win at Colorado. It's going to happen pretty quickly, and it's going to shock a lot of you. Now, look, either you believe what you're telling me or you don't. And I'm kind of speaking condescendingly, but not to all of you. When I am saying you, speaking to a group of people out there who always love to tell me this is a talent acquisition business. That's what this game's all about, acquiring talent. Like you figured out something the rest of us didn't already know. We get it. What Pate was telling us a long time ago. It's not so much the X's and O's, buddy. It's the Jimmies and Joes. We've known that for a long time. Okay? Having said that, do you believe Pate? Do you believe what he told? Meemaw's taking a break tonight. Do you believe what Pate told you? Because if this is a talent acquisition business, do you doubt Deion Sanders is going to get talent? No, you can't doubt that. You must just be willfully ignorant if you doubt that. So you got to be doubting something else about him. What are you doubting? Convention. That's what you're doubting. You just don't think he can execute at the Power 5 level. You really think he's a lot more showman than tactician, and you don't think that combination is going to translate. Did I just describe some of you? Certainly I did. Are you free to have that opinion? Sure. You've been right, and I've been wrong plenty of times on this show, and it'll happen again. I just don't think it's going to happen here. But to go back to the talent acquisition aspect of all this, do you realize they just upgraded here? I don't mean in terms of just an overall head coach and the stature and name recognition. I don't mean it like that. I mean, Jesse walks into my office today and he says, guess what? I said, hit me with it, Jesse. He said, Jackson State, Deion just comes from Jackson State. Jackson State signed 7 4- and 5-star rated players over the last 2 cycles. That's 7 more than Colorado did, because Colorado hadn't had a 4- or 5-star rated player, period, last 2 cycles. He had a more talented recruiting class at Jackson State than Colorado did. Just heads up, we don't have to add in any caveats or any special filters or parameters. He flat out recruited a Pac-12 school at Jackson State. That wasn't the only Power 5 school he out-recruited, by the way. So now he comes there. He's going from an HBCU program to a Pac-12 program, by the way, at the Power 5 level, who obviously are getting pretty serious about investing and taking recruiting seriously. But if you don't believe he'll have problems getting the players, you just think it won't matter, there'll be a really talented team that's still mediocre because he won't succeed as a coach, well, that's where I want to talk to you a little bit tonight. Because I think there are a lot of people who feel that way. And you're fair to, I get why you feel that way. He's so unconventional. Deion Sanders, so unconventional. Hey, let me ask you something about college football. What part of this sport is conventional right now? UCLA is about to play in the Big Ten. We're about to have 12 teams in the playoff. I could get $300,000 to go play for Nebraska if someone's willing to pay it to me. I could go play for 4 different schools in 4 years if I want to. What is conventional about college football right now? And after you say the word nothing, then I want to bring you back to Deion Sanders. Why wouldn't you go unconventional in your hire? Especially at the University of Colorado, going conventional gets you trucked. Going conventional gets you 1-11. Why would you be anything other than unconventional there? Then once you say, well, we shouldn't be. You're right, maybe we should be unconventional. Then you realize why they hired him, and then you have to ask yourself this. How good could Colorado be? Anything's an upgrade. They won 1 game last year. Anything's an upgrade. I firmly believe this, guys, and I have a little bit of a cheat sheet because I got access to folks who know who all's reaching out to Colorado right now. They are going to stun you with the roster they put together. It will surprise a lot of people. I know everyone who watches this show or listens to this show, you're a diehard college football fan. So you know the entire timeline. He went to Jackson State, and you remember vividly early signing day last year with Travis Hunter. He did the interview with Barstool a little bit before that. You remember all that, okay? You've got a shot-by-shot recollection of the timeline for Deion Sanders. Casual fans don't. Casual fans know he was at that HBCU school in Mississippi. He played for Florida State. He played for the Falcons and the Niners. I remember him in the NFL. I know that he's in the Aflac commercials. This is a casual talking. This is like a Halloween mask for me. This is tough for me to do. And what else does a casual know? They know that Colorado just hired him. That's it. That's all. And then a casual checks out and they go sip a daiquiri somewhere. So here's what's going to happen. The casuals are going to check back in and they're going to find out that Deion Sanders has accumulated more 4-star or higher rated talent on Colorado's roster in one cycle than they have the past 2 decades combined, because that's real. Like, I think that's going to happen. It's going to happen really quickly because of how, your word, not mine, unconventional college football is now. You can do these sorts of things. I got surprisingly little pushback to the segment we did the other night. And Jesse knows, because I told him beforehand, boy, this is going to aggravate some folks. If it did, you didn't speak up, because there was an overwhelming acceptance that what I said the other night was reality. And what I said was, the way he's dealing with those players out there right now, it's tough, but it's reality. It doesn't even have to be fair. It's just real. It's the same way as any other adult gets treated in any other place of business. I had some of you say, are you saying it's fair for you to get fired for no reason? It doesn't have to be fair to you. It's reality. When you draw a paycheck, when you get those benefits of being an adult, there's sometimes consequences out of your control, by the way. I mean, there's probably a kid that's playing offensive guard, just minding his own business, holding down a 3 spot on the depth chart at Colorado that will not have a spot this spring. It's not his fault. It just is what it is. And so, Deion's going to come in there and overhaul that roster really, really quickly. I venture to guess the percentage of that roster that's going to be overhauled is going to blow some people's minds, and the caliber player they get out there is going to blow some people's minds. I was listening to Joel Klatt the other day. I think he had Bruce Feldman on, and Feldman made a really good point. He said, I think there are going to be some guys who don't even consider Colorado in their top 3 or 4 coming out of high school. Just typical recruits that don't even consider Colorado in their top 3 or 4, but they want to meet Deion. And so they schedule an official visit to Colorado. He'll land some of those kids. If you've ever been around him, I've been around him. It's crazy. And I'm around head coaches all the time. Like, I'm around people we would consider celebrity flex. I'm around people we would consider celebrities a lot. He's a celebrity amongst celebrities. Celebrities talk about Deion Sanders. Like, head coaches talk about Deion Sanders. So the point is, the talent's going to be there. And if you believe it's a talent acquisition business, but you don't believe he's going to win, then you think he's going to fail for reasons other than talent. And I'm telling you that you must just feel he's unconventional and can't get the job done, and that's where we disagree. So my challenge is, give me 2 years. I'm not making promises for the 2023 season, although who knows, he may even surpass my expectations. The 2024 college football season, at minimum, that team's bowling, at the very minimum, and could be in the 8 or 9 win range. Is that impossible? By any other metric, in any other time in the history of this sport, yes, it probably is. But have you paid attention to Kansas, for example? Have you paid attention? Vanderbilt, Clark Lee almost took Vanderbilt bowling this year. And they're going about things at Kansas and Vanderbilt, respectively, far more conventionally than Deion Sanders will ever think about going about things in Boulder, Colorado. You don't think he can get them in the 8 or 9 win range? Just taking a bunch of 4- and 5-star kids, you can call them mercenaries, you can call it whatever you want to. He's not going to force anyone to play out there. So you're going to see a lot of folks choose to play out there. Look, here's my bigger question. This is where you want to hit the mute button in Colorado. My bigger question isn't if he's going to win. My bigger question is, how long is he going to stay out there because of how he's about to win? Because I firmly believe, and I've had one of them confirm it to me, I firmly believe there were some ADs that wanted to hire him this last cycle. There were some ADs at some surprisingly big-time institutions that I think wanted to pull the trigger on Deion Sanders this time around, and they did not have the support internally that they needed. When he does what he's about to do at Colorado, all of those concerns will be alleviated. The proof of performance, the proof of product will be there. And come 2024, 25 probably, if he so chooses, I don't know where his heart and mind's at, if he so chooses, the offers are going to be there. And I also want to ask you this. We're obviously getting way ahead of ourselves, but I feel pretty confident in this. If that's where we go, what does it do for the mold that you look for in a head coach in the future? Like, there are change agents. There are inflection points in any walk of life if you just observe it long enough. College football coaching, no different. And you could be looking at one here, because the way that you feel, the things you look for, the critical factors and traits you look for in a head coach could be about to change. And I would also suggest to you this. I'm a believer there are two approaches that are rapidly approaching in this sport that don't necessarily get utilized right now. Most people go cookie cutter when they're trying to hire. They just try and hire the best version of what the classical college football coach is. Colorado obviously deviated from that path. I think you could have path one, and that is go hire a superstar name like Deion Sanders, and then give him a big enough salary pool where he puts together a dynamite coaching staff, which he's in the process of doing right now, and then let him be the figurehead and let them do the dirty work. That's one approach. Here's the other approach. Kind of unrelated to Deion, but it's unconventional since we're talking about unconventional here. Someone's going to try a Moneyball approach to college football coaching. Someone is going to figure out in the modern transfer portal NIL world, you don't have to hire coaches in the same mold that you once did. You, up until this point and prior years, had to have certain amounts of X's and O's boxes checked, certain amounts of recruiting prowess boxes checked, and especially the latter mattered a lot. Someone's going to go and pay a head coach that you've never heard of like $3.5 or $4 million at a major program, and he's going to be way under the pay scale of his peers because you've never heard of him. And they're going to put together a staff, maybe of conventional hires, maybe of unconventional hires, but they are going to have measured the benefit of being able to just go buy your talent roster. And they're not going to value recruiting prowess quite to the degree you ever would have before. And they're going to probably cut corners financially, saving money on a staff. And they're going to invest those millions into NIL. And they're going to construct the team for the coaching staff. This is where we're headed, by the way, if you don't get control of NIL. And that will be the Moneyball approach in college football. Not quite what Billy Beane did out in Oakland once upon a time, but that will be the approach. Who's going to try that? I don't think the University of Alabama is ever going to try that. I think there are some mid to lower tier Power 5 programs that absolutely could be ready to try that. It's just someone's got to be first. Someone's got to be first. You want to talk about change, by the way. You want to talk about impact. So Brandon Marcello's out at some conference out west, and George Kliavkoff was speaking at it, the Pac-12 commissioner. I want you to think about how big this is. So the Pac-12 has been negotiating a new media rights deal. Hasn't happened yet. There's a little bit of a delay, a little bit of a snag. And Marcello quotes George Kliavkoff from this conference. He said, well, we knew some other information was coming, including the announcement of Coach Prime. Why would we do a media deal before that? He absolutely adds value to the league. Stop for just a second. So we're talking about 9-figure numbers here. We're talking about major multi-year media rights deals. Even the Pac-12 deal is going to fish that kind of revenue over the long haul. You're talking about one person, one head coach. He will never play a down. One head coach that adds so much to what, at the end of the day, is an entertainment-based product that they just put their negotiations on hold until he got out there. And he's not even at Southern Cal. He's not at Oregon. He's not at one of the, what would be called the premier brands currently out there. I guess Southern Cal for about 5 more minutes till they go to the Big Ten. Deion Sanders put the media negotiations on hold out there. That's how big that hire was. I know a lot of you are getting sick of hearing that name. That's cool. I'm just saying, we see the numbers. Most of you aren't sick of it. Most of you have very strong opinions on it. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me. That's how we keep this entire thing free.